Good morning, everyone. It is the 17th of December, excuse me, and we're seeing a slightly lower push below that 50-day moving average in the S&P 500 today. It kind of looks like it's coming down from this kind of volume spike here from September 17th. Looks like that is likely where that's going to be a level of interest, sorry, that on the downside, if we continue to see sell-off at the end of the day. This is the anchored VWAP from the Fed, and this was the weekly volume weighted average price. And this morning it ran right into that, and it started to sell off again. So we are still below that declining 5-day moving average, and until that we see some upwards buying towards that 5-day moving average, and that five-day moving average actually starts to rise, the markets are gildy until we think otherwise. It looks like it is trying to find some supply around daily S2 here, but outside of that, everything is on the downside. And the Qs are a little bit weaker this morning, considering they had a bit more strength yesterday. Say as likely level, we're going to come down to this 596 level, which is where that volume weighted average price down from from the August low, that gap down. So it's probably a pretty important level if it undercuts that. If not, I would say we're aiming for an undercut of the 580 level. Semiconductors are in dire straits, below the 50-day moving average this morning, broke the anchor from that low. Nvidia is probably leading the market downwards, would be my guess. We can have a quick look at Nvidia here. Yeah, as you can see, Nvidia gapped down this morning and continued to sell off, and they are holding around daily S. Well, actually, sorry, that's not actually the appropriate pivot, but they're already under daily S3 for the day. So generally, like I said previously, the Nvidia looks like it's entered into a stage 4 decline, and likely we'll see it continue down here, likely down to that 200-day moving average, or maybe an undercut of that 163 level. But it's definitely not one to short right now, how far it's gone, but that's where things are at with Nvidia. XPI currently holding that in that major uptrend. We're continuing upwards here. 5-day moving average is rising, but it is below that week-to-day volume weighted average price and holding above the month-to-day. So a bit of a small pinch coming in here, but till it's kind of digested these gains, it looked like it could potentially start to maybe come back down to this 20-day moving average again, and maybe we see a slight profit take down to 50. It's had a long run here since the start of July, all the way up to today's day of December. So it's well ahead of itself. It's done pretty good. Energy names continue to be choppy, sold off this morning. Found volume weighted average price from this high. It's just kind of bouncing around in here. Energy names not one I would necessarily want to get involved with. And the financials continue to try to hold up here above that, holding against that 5-day moving average on that short-term time frame. The market just generally looks like it needs to continue downward. Tesla sold off this morning, big gap up yesterday. Well, big sell off, big buy up yesterday afternoon, and then it sold off this morning, and now it looks like it's probably going to come down. My guess would be come down to undercut down this 5-day moving average and cut down that low, shake people out, and then potentially carry on going if Tesla remains in an uptrend. A few things I was keeping an eye on. I was looking at this Wynn Resorts. It's holding above this 5-day moving average. It is kind of choppy, but we do have a pattern of lower highs and lower lows here. Daily time frame, that 50 is starting to rise, that 20 is rising, 200 days rising. It's one to keep an eye on. It's a bit of a slow moving stock, but it's holding up against most. Service Titan's not quite ready yet. We do have a rising 200-day moving average, but the 50 and the 20 are all the way down here. It needs a little bit of time to set up, but that 5-day moving average is actually going to start rising probably early into next week. So if you're keeping an eye on it, I think it's worth keeping an eye on for maybe a half size trade size. Is holding above the anchor from the high. It's holding above the anchor from the IPO. So yeah, one to keep in mind. Short side, this KMB was something I was looking on the short side, below 20-day moving average, starting to curl over. 50s declining, 200s declining. It's below all relevant anchors. It just broke the volume weighted average price for the week, and is kind of hovering in. The daily VWAP is above the weekly VWAP. The weekly VWAP as well as the 2-day. This red is the 2-day VWAP, so it needs a little bit more time here, but it's something to keep an eye on the short side. Wouldn't say it's a sell below any specific level, but it's definitely tightening up here on the 30-minute time frame. We'll move this on the left hand side. It just had a bit of a rally today, broke this downward trend, so it needs a little bit more time to maybe shake out and head downwards. Another short was this AMT. I'm aware of this band of resistance potentially down at 171, and it's kind of holding in here, but it definitely looks like that 5-day moving average is continuing to climb over the next few days. But we're above the daily and the weekly volume weighted average price and the monthly. So until we kind of break down, maybe pull back in and then sell back, something along the lines of if you get a bit of a sell off here in the next few days, maybe come down here, we find kind of buyers, some sellers, and that's where we start to see a breakdown, further structural breakdown. And the only other one I was keeping on the long side was this Las Vegas Sands Corporation. Daily time frame 20 still rising, 50 still rising. 5-day moving average is starting to rise, and it will continue to rise as long as we don't break down too far here. We got a higher high and a higher low in here. So if it maybe finds some buyers down here at the 5-day moving average and then starts to tighten up, maybe we pull down that 5-day moving average, we pull back in, we tighten up, and then we kind of do something like this. And maybe it's a buy over here with a tight stop under here. It's a fairly slow moving stock, but again, it's holding up well against the rest of the market, and that's what we have to take into consideration. That's the midday update, folks. I will catch you at the end of the day.